I was a classmate of Marshall Meyer. We entered the seminary together in 1952, and the regular students who knew something were four-year men. Those who knew a little less were five-year men like myself, and those who knew nothing were six-year men like Marshall Meyer. He was brilliant. He came from Harvard, and he decided to be a rabbi, and amazing what he did here. We all admire him. I am talking about
the micro, please.
The micro, please? Yeah? Okay, that's better? You like that?
Yeah, so we can listen to you.
Okay. I am talking about the rejection, the expulsion of Yishmael or Ishmael, and the election of Abraham, of Isaac. And I wanted to entitle this talk, as I had in other places, as Sight and Fright. But the Anglo told me that that doesn't go down in Spanish. So we gave this the expulsion and the election. Now, the question is, does the idea generate the word, or does the word generate the idea? And so sight is ra'ah, and fright is yareh. And these two words are very much alike. They sound alike. And so I created this term, three paraphanous pairs. And this is a talk that was given elsewhere, and we will take snatches from it. So, what is this word paraphanous? Paraphony, a term borrowed from music. Paraphony refers to two words which are similar but not identical in phonological form. Question: what's the difference between a jeweler and a jailer? Answer: one sells watches and the other watches sells. So, we have here these three words, Ra'ah, Yareh, and Yashav and Shum, and Ra'ah, and also Resh Ayin, Ayin, or Resh Ayin Hey. And they occur throughout the whole Bible. Almost every book of the Bible has these pairs. So they're not incidental or accidental. They are part of the biblical vocabulary, creation. And so I will show you here how the word sight, ra'ah, fright, yareh, explains the expulsion of Ishmael and the election of Isaac. Now, there's a word I hope we will be doing a lot of Hebrew here. What is the word in the story of Ishmael for a flask of water? Does anybody know? Chemet. And it occurs three times in three different forms. And the letters are what? Chet, Mem, Taf. Now, what does Chet, Mem say to you? Cham. And who was Cham? He was one of the sons of Noah. Was he the good son or the bad son? He was a bad son. Because when they came out of the ark and Noah got drunk, Cham went and covered him. Good. And the two brothers went like this, not looking. And so when Noah discovered it, he cursed Cham. He cursed Cham. Now, Cham had sons, Egypt, Mitzrayim. You are what your father is. So Mitzrayim had a bad name. And we have three stories in the Torah, one about a king, who was suspected of wanting to kill the husband and take the wife. So when you see this Hagar, what was she? Where did Abraham pick her up? In Egypt, in Mitzrayim. So already, she's taken. And when the story says that this flask is a chemet, you hear the echoes. So let's have a look at here. We see a sequence, Abraham. And what is this sequence? It's between a very tricky thing here. It's between Yoshev and Vayad. So God is appearing, Vayeda Elav Adonai, appearing to Abraham. And where is Abraham? Yoshev. He is sitting. And he sees, Vayad, and he sees these men coming. So Abraham sits and sees, Yoshev and Ra'ah. So two of these word pairs. Lot. Vayavo Shnei Hamalachim. Two angels come to Lot. You know who Lot was? He's the nephew of Abraham. And what is Lot doing? These things are right next to each other. The Lot, Yoshev, Vishad, Stom, Vayad. So both Abraham and Lot are sitting and seeing. Now this is a promo. Okay. So now we come to the expulsion of Ishmael. And we see how these words build up the narrative to tell why he was rejected and he was elected. So here is Sarah. Vateda Sarah et Ben Hagar, and I omitted Hamitzri, but that's what's there. Mitzachek. Now, Mitzachek is, of course, the word play on Yitzchak. But here, Ben Hagar is Mitzachek. Now, where else did they Mitzachek in the Bible? They Mitzachek. Where? The Mitzachek when they built the golden calf, and Abimelech saw Yitzchak Mitzachek with his wife. So, two great examples of Mitzachek doesn't mean playing, but it means playing. You know, the way a woman, a boy, and a girl play. Playing around. So, what is this Mitzachek? Well, the text is elliptical. But when you know the meaning of this word, you see that he wasn't just playing jacks. And so what does she do? Right? She's expelled. She has Hagar expelled. And there's Hagar out there. And the water runs out from the chemet. And so what does she do? She says, Malachagar, al tiri. So she sees, and God says, don't be afraid. And so she sees, Vateda be'er mayim, Vatash et hana. So here, Sarah saw playing Ishmael, and he is expelled. Hagar saw and drink for Ishmael, and Ishmael is saved, as we see. Now, if you see a bush in the desert, what must there be there? Water. Why didn't she see water? She's afraid. And so she abandoned her son. So look at all these strikes against her. Now, we come in with the other part of the word there, Ra'ah with an aleph and Ra'ah with an ayin. See, bad. And so you see that when Abraham hears what Sarah wants, Vayeda hadavar ha'od b'nei Abraham al odot beno. Vayeda, it was bad. And God says to him, Al yeda, let not be bad in your eyes. Al hanad, ki v'yitzchak yigarei l'chazara. So here you have the ayin reish, the ayin reish, the ayin reish. Lovely sounds. Sounds are very important. And that's embedded in what we saw before. Sarah's sight leads to Abraham's displeasure. No displeasure, God said. This nod will not be the zera. Okay? So now there's another layer. And what is this layer? We saw Abraham sat, Lot sat, and saw. Hagar saw. Hagar sat, but refused to see. V'telech v'teshev la mineged harchet v'tachavei kasher. So she doesn't want to see him. She's afraid. So she puts him over there. Now the word is v'tashlech. You take your concordance, look up tashlech in the Bible, and you see that it means throw away. It doesn't mean gently put down. So she's abandoning him. Al-Eleh, the Mod Hayala Vateshev. So Hagar sat a bow shot away, Tachavei Kasher, and Ishmael is a bowman, a shot, but neither sees. They both sit. She sits, and he out there sits. So Hagar sat, but refused to see. Al-Ereh. See, these single words are building up the whole concept. They're telling you about this woman and comparing her to Abraham and Lot, and she doesn't come out well. Now here's the binding of Isaac. And this is just beautiful. Because we have these two words, sight and fright, Yarei, Ra'ah. And they create a chiasm. Not a chiasm, but a balance, a symmetry. Here is the A, and here is the A. V'lech lecha al eretz hamoriyah. Vayar et hamakom. He saw the place. And Abraham, Isaac asked him, well, where's the sacrifice? And he said, Elohim Yerelo. So A, B, C. Here's the place. Here is Abraham seeing. And here is God seeing. He will see too. He'll provide. See too. It's a good English. And what's in the middle? Ki yadayadati ki yarei Elohim ad. So he sees and he fears. But it's not fear, it's awe. It's Yirei Elohim. So we go back now. Vayisav Abraham et einav vayar. V'nei ayil, and he sees a lamb. ויקרא אברהם שם המקום אדוני יראה. אשר בהר אדוני יראה. So here is a place, Moriah, here is the Har Adonai Yireh. Here he sees some place, and here he sees the isle, and here he says that God will see too, and so the mountain is called Adonai Yireh. And so that proves that Abraham was right. He believed that God was not going to have him sacrifice that kid. Now what happens when you take Yarei Yara and you introduce Shuv Yashav? You get this construction. Okay? So here the ABC and CBA are Yarei Yara. But if you introduce Shuv Yashav, back. What do you get? Here, Abraham says to the servants who accompany him, Shvu, he says, El Arav, Shvu lachem im achamor, sit here with the donkey, and I and Yitzchak will go to Nashuva Aleichem. So, Shvu and Shuv. And how does it end? It ends with Abraham. Vayashav Abraham el Me'arav, he returns. And then, Vayeshev Abraham v'Be'er Shava. So, that's A-B, B-A. Shvu, Nashuva. Vayashav, so you get this nice construction, synergy, A, B, E, F, C, D, B, C, A, F, E. So Hagar had fright, and therefore she lost. Abraham had awe, not just fright, but awe. Yirat Elohim. And so his son won.
A continuación, vamos a, ¿quién desea hacer alguna pregunta a cualquiera de las cuatro profesores?
Al doctor de arqueología, no recuerdo el nombre. Richard.
¿Quién es?
Ariel.
Ok, Ariel.
Les quería preguntar si puede contarnos un poquitito, después de tantos años de experiencia con la arqueología, a diferencia de lo que vemos en la televisión, ¿cómo era la gente? Pregunto cosas banales. Cuando uno camina por Israel y ve los tilim, son chicos, son cosas chicas. Yo me imagino Beersheba, de la época de Abraham, cosas muy diminutas. Jerusalén, las partes más grandiosas pueden ser en términos de hoy muy chicas. Am Israel salieron 600.000 de Egipto. Abraham vivió, Moshe 120
My
años.
gosh, he's doing his own lecture here.
No,
So to get ready. So
Me gustaría saber,
I'm going to give you a summary of this
después de
afterwards.
30, 40 años excavando en algunos lugares, ¿cómo era la persona, el común y corriente? ¿Cómo vivía, cómo se vestía?
Okay. His question really is the basic question that we have in archaeology, is what do we really learn about the people? And the people really, anytime somebody tells you that archaeology is about architecture, or it's about walls, or it's about objects, it's not. It's about people. And when we forget that, that's when archaeology becomes woo! And by the way, the stones do not talk to anybody. They all need a very elaborate construction of theories in order to understand them. So first of all, what do we understand about the ancient Israelites, for example? In all of when you go around Israel and they take good tour guides, take you to each one of these places, and you learn about the people of that place. First of all, you learn that they are regular people living regular lives, not extraordinary lives, okay? They're not biblical heroes. They are regular people. And what do we learn about their lives? They try to live simply. We do have luxurious places in places like Jerusalem, but the differences in every period are so extensive. So, for example, when someone asks me what existed in a place like Jerusalem in the time of the legendary King David, something much different than what we see in the period of Herod. Okay? So it's really hard to compare what the population was. It was a very small area. And so when people try to excavate a small area that's been built on 40 times and destroyed 52 times and completely destroyed twice, it is so complicated. It is not just, well, like I'm lucky. I go to places where nobody has touched it, okay? And I excavated very simply. We put up the walls. We understand what they were doing in their houses. But I'll give you a simple thing, because it's not just King David. When people ask me, what do we learn about Jews in the first century of the Common Era? What we learn is they are so different in different places within Israel in the first century. Jerusalem, first century, is so different than Galilean. And so we look at the houses, the size of the houses. For example, for those of you who haven't studied archaeology, how many ancient synagogues do we have in Israel before the first century? You know why? Because what we think is that people didn't have what we call an edifice complex. You know what an edifice complex is? An edifice complex is, you should know very well here in this country what an edifice complex is everyone has to have their own building. Instead of thinking about what in antiquity, you know what people did? Did people pray when there was a temple standing in Jerusalem? Of course they prayed. They didn't go, they said, I gotta wait another 3 months until I'm gonna go to the temple. So what do we have? We have houses. Courtyard houses. Courtyard houses where people could actually do lots of things besides just talk to one another. They could pray, but they didn't have to have necessarily a synagogue with a special walls, with special seating, with a special person standing in front of them. This is really the difference. So when we're looking at, for example, we excavated a very large fisherman's house with a big courtyard. And when people come there, they say, where's the synagogue? I want to see the synagogue where the disciples of Jesus met for the first time with it. I said, you know where they met? In the fisherman's house, in a courtyard, and that's what they did. So part of the problem is we have in our own minds a vision of a Judaism that existed in the medieval period, that existed in the Babylonian period. And what we do when we go out into the field is we have to keep in mind the text, but we have to forget about what we think of what the interpretation of that text is from the medieval period, from the Babylonian period. That's very hard to do, because you have to always be almost schizophrenic. You have to be looking at things that you're looking at and say, what was the use of this cup? this stone cup. Why were they using stone cups? What was so important about stone cups? And then you understand, we're looking at a Jewish house. Because who used stone cups? Jews used stone cups. And how do I know that Jews use stone cups? Because it is written in the Talmud about the stone cups. So we're looking at a desarrollo, we're looking about an evolution, we're looking about different Judaisms. You know, Professor Tove is an expert on the Dead Sea Scrolls. When people ask, what do we learn from the Dead Sea Scrolls? And I hope someone will ask him what he has learned over the past 40 years of being in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It is such a different Judaism that we are talking about. And what's very important about the scrolls is it tells us about the Judaism, los movimientos de judíos, okay, de aquel entonces. Not about modern movements, about ancient movements of the Jews that really were different, that had different theologies, that had different buildings about the way they lived their lives. So when you ask a question like that, you have to say, what specifically are you interested in? The other thing is, never forget, tomamos la Biblia seriamente, pero literalmente. The numbers of the Bible that we read may be a very big problem. Okay? So archaeologically, that's the other problem. To read it seriously, but not literally. Okay, yeah.
Una pregunta más.
כן, אנחנו...
Bueno, sin saber que sos especialista en los mochos del Mar Muerto, sí, para que vos hablaste de los libros que quedaron fuera de la Tanaj, cómo decidieron cuál que quedan fuera, cuál que se entran, y lo que hablaste del Hanukkah, que fue muy interesante, que es de algo de los cristianos, y sí tenemos adentro, pero otras festividades que están en otros libros y que no entramos en estas libros.
לא דיברתי על הפסוקים.
באנגלית, באנגלית.
זה שאנחנו חוגגים חנוכה למשל, שהוא בספר שאנחנו לא מקבלים, איזה ספרים נכנסו, איזה ספרים נשארו בחוץ.
Okay. 5 minutes or 2 hours?
2 hours.
Much of this, well, goes back to actually to the time of the creation of what we call canon. And canon is a word that means the collection of sacred writings. And the collection of sacred writings, as I said, for the Hebrew Bible, grew over the ages. There were ancient books that were not included in the Hebrew Bible. It's actually quite interesting that Chronicles is in the Hebrew Bible because it tells the same story. But it's there. And the Hebrew Bible was closed at different stages. So first the Torah, then the Ketuvim, then the Nevi'im, and then the Ketuvim. But this is really only one, it's really interesting because this is only one group, it's only one concept of the sacred writing, one concept of what we call canon, one canonical concept. And so what you're asking refers to my remarks in the books of the Maccabim, which are not sacred anymore for the Jews. That is because there was another group of sacred writings that is reflected in the Greek translation of the Septuagint, and that later became Christian. But that was another Jewish concept, because the Septuagint is completely Jewish. There's nothing Christian about the Septuagint. And Well, we now connect it with Egypt, but it's really not connected with Egypt. It's partly connected with Egypt because it also reflects concepts of the Hebrew Bible as were accepted in ancient Israel. So there were different understandings of what should be included in the Hebrew Bible. We live according to one concept, and there was this other concept that is sometimes called the Alexandrian Bible, but that's not a good name because some of these books were also accepted in the book in the land of Israel. So it's a different concept, and because religions developed in the way they developed, and without mentioning God, these things could not have been foreseen. So our canon developed in a certain way, the canon of the Septuagint developed in a certain way, and there's even more canons. The situation in Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, is unclear. But it is quite sure that in Qumran we have, I mean, it's a fact that we found in Qumran many books, and there are certain books about which we can say they were also accepted as authoritative. So you might also say that the canon of the Qumran people, whom we call Essenes, which is a deviating group. What is deviating? It's a different group. They deviated from the Pharisees. So in the place of Qumran, in those caves, we find, for example, many copies of the Book of Jubilees. Now, the Book of Jubilees is not known to most of you, Sefer Yovlim. And that one was most likely accepted by the people in Qumran. The Temple Scroll, also not known to most of you, but one of the important writings found in Qumran, was most likely also accepted by the people of Qumran. So different, at this time you might say,